Assalamualaikum. Welcome to the Department of English, Government Postgraduate College, Attock. This is BSc class, BSc 4th year English, and we are having a series of lectures on a selection of modern prose. I am Sheheryar Khan, and the chapter we started in our previous lectures was The Damned Human Race by Mark Twain. Now look at the next sentence of the chapter. Mark Twain says, in proceeding toward this unpleasant conclusion, I have not guessed or speculated or conjectured, but have used what is commonly called the scientific method. Before we come to the meaning of this sentence, let us first have a look at the meaning of some of the words, some of the expressions. Proceed means to move towards something or to move forward. Unpleasant, uh, that is not pleasant or disagreeable. Conclusion is the result. I have not guessed means that I have not just guessed this or estimated this. And also if you look at the structure of the sentence, you will come to know that it is present perfect tense. Use of have means in present perfect tense we use have and has with the singular subjects and have with the plural subjects, and after that we use third form of the verb. Please keep in mind that in perfect tenses after has, have and had, we always use third form of the verb. Speculate, it is also used almost in the same way as guessed. Speculate actually means to think, and speculation is just an idea that is based upon the opinion of somebody and not supported by the facts. So it is a thought not based upon facts or proof. It is used here in this sense. Conjectured is also a verb that is used in the same sense, almost in the same way, or that of estimate or guess. So now look at this sentence again. The writer says, in proceeding toward this unpleasant conclusion. This unpleasant conclusion, what is the unpleasant conclusion? The unpleasant conclusion is that when he compared the animals and man, he found out the result of his comparison was he found out that animals are higher as compared to man, or they are better as compared to man. Now this was an unpleasant conclusion. This was a result that was disagreeable, or you can say that the writer did not like this. Now why did not he like this? Because he himself is a man, and he had always believed that human beings are better as compared to animals. Now when he found out this particular in this particular comparison, when he found out that actually this is not the case, actually this is opposite to what he used to think, that animals are better as compared to human beings, then this was quite unpleasant for him, and therefore he is calling this unpleasant conclusion. Now he says that I have not guessed or speculated, means when he arrived at this conclusion, when he reached at this conclusion, this result, it is not that he just estimated or guessed or speculated. He did not just based he did not just base his opinion upon his own idea or his own thought, but he in the next part of the sentence he says that but have used what is commonly called the scientific method. He arrived at this result by using scientific method, by using that particular method which is used in science. And in our introductory lecture we discussed that method, that how scientists they gather evidence, they first formulate a question, and on the basis of that question they first make hypothesis, and then they try to prove that hypothesis by collecting data and then testing that data through experiments. And if the results are in agreement with their hypothesis, then they would accept the hypothesis. This is what we call scientific method. The whole procedure is not based upon the opinions of the people or the scientists, but it is supported by data or by facts or by experiments. So the writer here is also saying that when he reached at this conclusion that man is not the higher animal, but animals are higher than man, then he did not just speculated or conjectured or guessed, but he used the scientific method. So he is telling us that his opinion is not just a kind of personal opinion. It is not based upon his own likes and dislikes. He is not prejudiced about it. It is just that his he reached at this conclusion using facts, using scientific method. Now look at the next sentence. The writer says, that is to say, I have subjected every postulate that presented itself to the crucial test of actual experiment and have adopted it or rejected it according to the result. Subjected, here it is used in the sense of to cause or to force someone or something to undergo a process. If you put something under a test, if you put something under a process, you say that I have subjected this thing or this person to that particular process. Postulate is basically a statement which is assumed to be true uh, on the basis of reasoning, on the basis of discussion, or on the basis of belief. Postulate is a kind of statement for discussion. Crucial means important or significant. Adopt means accept. Uh, Now he says that is to say, I have subjected every postulate that presented itself. Means when I was making this comparison and I was using the scientific method, whatever postulate, whatever scientific fact came in my way, I did not just accept it. I just first I using the scientific method, I tested it, I experimented, and then accepted or rejected that statement on the basis of the result. What does he want to say? That actually his method was not that he based his opinion upon his own likes and dislikes, but he based his opinion upon actual scientific data. He accepted a fact or a statement on the basis of uh, data, on the basis of experiment. He did not accept or reject it because it was not according to his own likes and dislikes. In the next sentence he says, thus I verified and established each step of my course in its turn before advancing to the next. I verified means checked. I checked it. I verified it. I checked it. Establish here it is used in the sense of prove, course, path, or suggested plan. Whenever somebody decides that he or she would take this particular procedure, they plan that this procedure will have 10 steps, for example, then they are basically uh, planning a course of action. So here it is used in that sense. It is a course of action, advancing, moving. So thus I verified and established each step. Now here in this sentence we see that he has used two verbs, verified and established. Both are second forms of the verb of verify and establish, and it means that the tense is past indefinite. In past indefinite, after the subject we use simple second form of the verb. Thus I verified and established each step of my course. That is, I divided all my procedure in, for example, 5 or 6 steps, and then first I performed the first step of my experiment, tested it. If the results were true according to my hypothesis, then I accepted or rejected the results and then moved on to the second step, and then to the third, and then to fourth, and so on. In the next sentence, the writer says these experiments were made in the London Zoological Gardens and covered many months of painstaking and fatiguing work. Now, if you look at this sentence, the verb of this sentence one is the helping verb, were, and the second is made, the third form of the verb. I told you, I think I told you earlier that you uh, if there is a helping verb and after it there is third form of the verb, then actually it is a passive construction. The construction is not active, it is not active voice, it is passive voice. And in this case, um, when you turn an active sentence into a passive sentence, what actually you do, that you are taking the responsibility of the action out of the subject and putting it onto the object. The Now indirectly the object is responsible for the action and not the subject. Um, all passive voice, passive voice of all tenses, they have you would use third form of the verb in all of them. It would be the helping verb that would tell you whether this is present or past, or whether it is past indefinite or present indefinite, or whether it is continuous or whether it is perfect. So you have to look at the this you can say this part, that is the helping verb part, to tell whether this particular passive voice is that of past or present, whether it is indefinite or continuous or perfect. If you look at this, then the third form would be the same in all passive voices. Were is telling us that it is of past indefinite, because was and were helping verbs are used in the passive voice of past indefinite. Painstaking, it is used in the sense of to do something with care and perfection. Fatiguing, exhausting or tiring, something that makes you tired. So the writer says these experiments were made in the London Zoological Gardens. That is, these experiments were conducted in the London Zoological Gardens, which are basically gardens especially reserved for such kind of um, research, biological research. And he says that were made mean nobody is making or nobody is conducting them. The experiments are conducted. Therefore it is passivized. That is, the the, uh, the responsibility of the action is not directly on the subject. In fact, the person who is performing these experiments, he is not mentioned. And covered many months of painstaking and fatiguing work. Covered mean that it took me many months of very careful work, very exhausting kind of work, and after that I put or you can say I put together my results or my uh, conclusions. In the next sentence, he says, some of my experiments were quite curious. Were is simply to be form of the verb, and quite is here adverb, which means to a certain degree. And curious is basically the word curious. It is used in two senses. One sense is to be curious means eager to know something. If somebody asks too many questions, then we say that this person is very curious. And the second use is that it is also it can also mean unusual or strange. Something which is unusual or strange is also called curious. It is used here in this sense, unusual or strange. So the writer says that some of my experiments were quite curious, that some of my experiments that I performed in order to prove whether animals are better or human beings are better, some of those experiments were quite curious, very strange, very unusual. So in today's lecture, we studied some of the text of the damned human race, and we saw that how first in the beginning, in the second lecture, when we started the text of this chapter, the writer told us that what is the topic of his essay, what kind of research he wanted to conduct. That is, he told us about what was the essay or what was the topic of the essay. Then he told us that how he conducted these experiments to prove his point. And at third, he also told us where his experiments were conducted, that is the London Zoological Gardens. So this is basically the introduction. Still we are at the introductory part of our essay. The writer is introducing us that what is his topic, how how he drew those conclusions, and what was the nature of those conclusions, and how he reached at those conclusions. So this is in our next lectures we will see that how he tries to prove his point, his hypothesis that man is the lowest animal, and how he would quote different examples from history as well. And he would also tell us about his experiments that he performed to prove that to prove his point, to prove his theory, which is opposite to the theory of Darwin. So, uh, up till then, take care.